Alright guys, welcome back to Higurashi. Let's get started. Apparently we got help from the queen. Don't really remember when we did that, but apparently we have it. So after breaking several windows and fragments, we can try this one. And hope it works. When researching Hinamizawa syndrome, there's something very important that needs to be discussed first. If something happens to the queen carrier, the village will collapse. In his article, my grandfather called it the most dangerous situation. And according to him, if the queen carrier dies, all the infected will go terminal within 48 hours. It may sound unbelievable at first, but research on the collapse of past local religions and group suicides around the world should indicate there's some truth to it. Among all the mysterious incidents around the world, there's some that were caused by parasites controlling entire communities, very similar to Hinamizawa syndrome. That has got to be quite the leap of logic. Ah, yes, every time there was a mass suicide or mass murder, it was actually due to parasites controlling communities. I see. Grandfather picked a few cases that are similar to the syndrome and investigated them. As a result, he confirmed multiple cases of entire communities losing their minds after the death of a religious leader or founder, and finally annihilating themselves. He stated on average it happened within 48 hours, and it's clear that infected people are affected by the queen carrier, and the condition of the queen is in fact affecting the entire village. Our statistics already proved that on weeks Rika felt sick and visited the clinic, we saw an exceptionally high number of visitors. Rika being sick with a simple cold has a massive impact. If something particularly bad happened to her, we'd be facing a serious condition within 48 hours. That's why the Erie Institute has to protect Rika, the queen carrier. It's the most important mission of the Hinamizawa Syndrome Research Project. Until they decide to just kill her for no reason? Alright. She already agreed to help us in our research. We have to be careful not to put her in danger. And we have to protect her from anyone who would try to harm her. Her life is equal to the lives of 2,000 villagers, but what if something happens to her by accident? The Institute needs to prepare for that situation, and that's why I worked on the draft of an emergency manual when the Erie Institute was first established. It's a precaution in case the queen carrier dies or the infected people show acute symptoms due to the death of the queen carrier. She says precautionary, but it doesn't make a lot of sense considering that was her whole plan all along, is to kill everyone in the village to achieve immortality. Somehow, I'm not quite sure. It's a weird fucking plan. This is an emergency procedure which must be followed within 48 hours of the mass occurrence of the acute symptoms. It's like, why is this person drafting this with the sole intention of killing everyone in the village? It defeats the whole purpose of all her research if she's just planning on killing everyone. I don't really understand her motives, but whatever, it's a story. The final measure is to prevent the damage from spreading to nearby areas. The plan uses gas, making it look like a natural disaster, and my client, the Alphabet Project, took the responsibility of working out the details of the plan. They're used to detailing with things like nuclear and biological weapons, so they ended up being a big help. There's no way I could have come up with a plan on my own to execute 2,000 villagers. Through a dummy company, the ground SDF secured a closed quarry in the Yaoguchi region, upstream of Hinamizawa. It's to be the secret storage base for the equipment we'd use in that operation. Equipment that sprays deadly gas that kills people as if they were falling asleep is stored here. In case of an emergency, a special unit of the ground SDF is to use this equipment to destroy the village. However, preparing for the execution of the village is politically dangerous. So if I'm going to insist on getting them the equipment ready, I have to make them understand how dangerous Hinamizawa syndrome is, and how urgent the need is to have a contingency plan. I have to prove the need for the plan by showing them enough data, so the files my grandfather kept intact come in quite handy. When clients read my grandfather's articles about the syndrome, they were surprised to see how catastrophic things could be in the worst case scenario. In other words, if something happens to this girl, all 2,000 villagers become deranged? Is that what you're saying? Yes. There have been several cases similar to Hinamizawa syndrome where group suicides took place. In the case of the syndrome, we can easily expect extreme defensive behavior, which results from deep paranoia. It may affect all 2,000 plus carriers. From there on, we may face abnormal situations involving lawless violence and bizarre religious despondence. We must be ready to face the situation by having a contingency plan, otherwise we'll draw attention from the rest of the world. Remember, we only have 48 hours to respond once it happens. Are you saying if it happens, there's nothing anyone could do? Can't you treat everyone within 48 hours? Oh, that's impossible. We don't even have a cure, and the research center isn't capable of taking in all the villagers. How frightening to realize such a disease actually exists. The world is full of mysteries. Constant vigilance against worst-case scenarios supports our national defense and is one of the ideas behind the Alphabet Project. Besides, our goal is not to use the plan, but it's vital to be prepared. Their goal is to use the plan. She's lying. Indeed. Precisely as you say, I'd still like to look into strengthening the rules of approval authority behind applying the plan, but I understand the necessity to prepare for our worst-case scenario. Let's have Urban Suppression Research Team run a simulation of the suppression operation in the region. I think we should get it going as soon as possible. It's possible she may be hit by a car and killed at any moment. Thank you, Major Takano. If we have further questions, you can sit down. Thanks to a push from one of my backers, things were decided without too much trouble. It took almost a day to explain it to them, but it took only a short time to come to a decision. Nobody criticized, ridiculed, or tried to reject my grandfather's articles out of hand. In the files they're reading today, those are the same shameful articles those haughty authorities left their footprints on as they trampled them in my grandfather's heart. But they aren't ridiculing them. They're reading what was once rejected. It's nothing big at a glance, but in this moment my grandfather's research is being recognized for the first time, and my heart is filled with satisfaction to see people discussing amongst each other while pointing to my grandfather's files and raising them into proof. I've worked so hard for this day. Grandpa in heaven, can you see this? I don't really get it. She should be, like, researching, proving it exists, and providing a cure rather than killing everyone, but I guess that's the way Takano works. Right. Let's see. Dissection plan is still on. L5 patient dissection is done. I think we can do this one. Rude, thank you for waiting. We just finished the last test. She'll be back soon. I hope she's able to help. Of course, Rika will help the whole village. I think we'll be able to come up with a treatment soon. We're still looking into the structure, but we're finding out how important Rika is to the villagers. People with more serious conditions can't stabilize themselves, after all, but we've found if they get close to the queen, they generate some kind of substance in their brain. It has a calming effect, and it seems to have the power to bring their symptoms down. If we can produce this substance, it'll end up making for a powerful treatment. I see. Rika has that kind of power. You shouldn't be surprised. People say maidens at the Furude Shrine have the psychic ability to calm both souls and demons, don't they? Even before we discovered it, it was already recorded in the history of the last 100 years. That's true. I'm impressed by how wise people were back then. The tests are all done. Rika, good work. You must be getting tired. Why don't you take this and go get something to drink? I took a lot of my blood. I need to replenish. Rika took the 100 yen coin that was offered to her and ran out into the hallway. What does 100 yen actually buy you? I appreciate Rika's help. If she hadn't offered her assistance, our research wouldn't have progressed this far. Well, Rika's very concerned with her better friend with the syndrome. She said she wants to help because of her. Doctor, please take Rika's feelings into account. Of course, we're taking up her precious time every Sunday. We'll make sure to get to the bottom of this. We may have to put her through some rather rough experiments, but hope you'll understand. We'll never harm her in any way. She's such an important person. She's the reincarnation of Oyashiro, after all. I wonder how people then found out about the syndrome, and how they knew the Furudes were the descendants of the queen. I'm truly impressed. By the way, there's something I have to ask. I'd like to ask you for permission to collect her cerebrospinal fluid. There's a chance that we'll have to drill a hole in her skull to examine the inside of her head. A hole in her skull? Of course, we'll take every precaution. Rika is the one and only queen carrier. We'll make sure she's safe. Her safety is our priority. Of course, since Rika's a girl, we won't shave her entire head. However, we'll have to ask her to stay at the clinic a little longer to keep our eyes on her. She can still receive visitors, of course. You're more than welcome to attend the examination. I'm sure she'll be relaxed to have someone she knows nearby. Do you really need to perform this examination? Is it safe? I can't guarantee her safety for either collecting cerebrospinal fluid or drilling a hole in her skull. There's always the off chance something might go wrong. Also, Rika might suffer some physical and emotional discomfort. Even if it's this important, we can't perform it without the parents' consent. Actually, I've already talked to Rika about it. What did she say? She said it's fine. I've explained to her the possibility of danger, but we still need your consent. Sometimes Rika truly believes she's the reincarnation of Oishi. Maybe she feels obliged to sacrifice herself for the villagers. What an impressive child. Could you please let me talk to my wife? His wife's gonna be like, nah. She understands the situation, but I still need to explain it to her. Of course. Please talk it over with her. This examination's an extremely important step in the process of stamping out the syndrome, right? Yes. It will solve the mysteries of the syndrome for sure, he says. At least, it'll be the first step. But that's not their goal. Their goal is not to solve it. Their goal is to make a weapon out of it, right? Their goal is to make a weapon out of it and kill everyone in the village. As I already explained, if something happens to the queen, the whole community may be in danger. Interesting. That's a new one. That's right. According to the studies, within 48 hours of the death of the Queen Care, everyone with the disease will become dangerously sick. I like how they're like, we looked at some other diseases and made this assumption without actually testing it. And their entire plan hinges on assuming that every disease is the same. Kind of funny. We must prevent that from happening no matter what. Like, okay, so her plan is to invent this, make a weapon, kill everyone. And then have, like, the ultimate untraceable weapon she can use, but for what end? I don't really get it. I guess then her legacy is having produced the deadliest virus on the planet. Well, I'm pretty sure that's a bot. If something happens to Rika, the whole village will go insane. Yes, it's our job to prevent it. It might seem ironic we have to put your daughter in danger, but this is the only way to stamp out the syndrome. Yeah, that's why I said it was a new one. I was like, ooh, that's interesting. Dr. Erie, I hope you'll succeed in that examination. As I said, there are no guarantees in medicine. Dr. Erie is a master of lobotomies. Why not just lobotomize Rika, solve all your problems at once? Sure. Erie answered with a nod, interrupting Takana's vague response. I will succeed. I'll save Rika. And the villagers too. I promise. Okay. I'll talk to my wife. I'll let you know our decision. Yes, thank you. After Rika and her father left, Takano started laughing. What is it? What's so funny? Oh, nothing. I thought it was amusing to get permission for both the patient and her parents beforehand. Rika's going through something she doesn't have to. I thought I should, as a courtesy. I could have gotten consent from the man last year had he been in a normal condition. Are you being tormented with guilt since you started your research? What do you mean? This type of teasing was normal from Takano, but maybe she'd gone a little too far. Erie made it clear how displeased he was to hear that. Well, Erie, you don't have any power. You gave it all to Takano. You can only research Hinamizawa syndrome by using living beings. You feel guilty continuing your work because of that. Those guilty feelings are a necessity. Whether it's murder or dissection, the fact that you're taking someone's life is the same. We have to accept that and at the same time devote ourselves to our research. It's an extremely impressive theory you have there. Then, Dr. Erie, how many times have you gotten consent before you cut into people's brains? Erie didn't think Takano knew about that. How many brains have you cut without consent? Using your selfish theory that people commit crimes due to mental disorders as your excuse? That's... Common sense changes with time. Back then, doctors didn't need to explain anything or get consent. So I don't think you have to be concerned about the past. It'd be a problem now, but it was okay back then. So that's fine. You feel guilty, and that's why you want to get consent from Rika beforehand, and why you wanted to get it from him, right? That's not true. In the first place, the treatment and dissection are... Listen, boy. What you want is a stamp of forgiveness known as prior consent, right? What you want is a stamp of forgiveness, some deception to fill your heart, so you can atone for your past sins. If you regretted what you've done, then you'd never get involved with brains again. Yet you're dragging regrets behind as you continue to deal with brains, guilty all the while. And still murdering people. If you truly acknowledge your actions as a sin, you would have refused to accept the appointment as director. Isn't that right? I don't need to listen to this. Excuse me. Oh, but you do, Eerie. That's exactly why you took this place. You must listen. The field of medicine is constantly won in battles against that era's ethics and social values. When Dr. Takano discovered the existence of the syndrome, the people in power at the time disregarded their ignorance and scoffed at his foresight. But he didn't stop researching until he collapsed. He believed someday he'd be acknowledged. Even if it was after he died, he still believed in it. He could only do that because of how strong his conviction was. If it wasn't for that, well, he would have given up. A strong will is what keeps research going. Only the most determined can achieve a result. But you don't have that. You're a coward who can't even decide if they should be proud or ashamed of their achievements. How could you accept the position of director with such half-hearted determination? I mean, you knew from the beginning this research couldn't be brought to fruition without adding blood to your already stained hands. I don't know what to say. Maybe I am half-hearted. Well, then why don't you just resign? You still have the obligation to keep things secret, but at least you won't have to feel guilty anymore. You might be my partner. You're also simply a person who was requested by my client. Now that the Research Institute is fully developed, you aren't needed. If you don't have the necessary determination to do research to begin, you're an especially useless partner. I'll never quit researching. I'm not afraid of guilt or regret. My conviction is what will take me to the future. Just like Takano succeeded, I'll succeed alone. Impressive. However, though my determination may not come close to yours, I too have a will, and that's why I'm here. As you said, I already have blood on my hands. After I arrived in Hinamizawa, they got even bloodier. So I can't just run from my responsibilities. I probably continue to be tormented by unatoned sins. Okay. But you won't run, you'll get to the bottom of the syndrome? It's the least you can do for all the people who gave their lives to this research, and for those who will give their lives from now on. Eerie wore a determined look on his face. He appeared different from a moment before when he was baffled by Takano bringing up those painful memories. And for a short while, his eyes displayed his strong will, and then he turned around. We'll probably get consent for the examination. Start preparing for it. I understand. Director. They got their consent the following week. Ah, the water's warm. I let the water sit outside the fridge too long. It's lukewarm, room temperature water. Not quite the delicious, refreshing taste I was looking for. Is what it is, though. Let's see, prior consent is here. The lights came on in the meeting room as the slideshow ended, and all the auditors began to applaud, praising the Eerie Institution's dramatic accomplishments. Absolutely wonderful! Wonderful! To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting too much from this Hinamizawa syndrome research. I figured even if there was progress, there'd be 3 steps forward, 2 steps back every decade. Oh my, how impressive it is to achieve so much in such a short period of time. It's all thanks to you, Director Eerie. Oh, no, this is all because of the staff and Sakano-san. Don't be so humble. Director Eerie's a genius in the field of neurology. After all, he's also produced greater achievements than any other doctor when it comes to the brain. True, not many doctors as young as you have nearly as much experience operating on brains. Congratulations, Lieutenant Colonel Eerie. Now I can go back to Tokyo with my head held high. I'm honored we gave you something good to take back with you, Tomitake. By the way, could you please stop calling me Lieutenant Colonel? I just can't get used to it. I almost prefer Rizo-san at this point. I bet you do, don't you? Well, you sure were a huge help. You're the one who secured funding for our research. Even when we couldn't produce feasible results, we couldn't have done it without you. It wasn't any trouble. But really, the results you presented are just brilliant. Not only have you found the cause of the syndrome, you provided a clear path towards future research. We're looking forward to hearing more progress when we come again next time. I'm sure the Tokyo office will quit bothering us about cutting your budget with these sorts of results. After all, we nearly lost our budget for the canned coffee we provided you all, didn't we? Canned coffee, too expensive, guys. Tomitake, make sure you report our progress to Tokyo well enough they give us enough funding to hold a party. We've been getting nothing but the stick. It's time for the carrot. We'll be happiest if that carrot comes back in the shape of funding. Alright, everyone's laughing. Seems like they're having a good time. And with the congenial atmosphere, our routine audit was over. Iri was surrounded by and being questioned by National Institute of Infectious Disease workers who joined the auditors. Nakano, congratulations. I can't really say this out loud, but all the progress I've seen tonight's thanks to your hard work. Thank you, Jiro-san. Jiro and I are the only ones who know strings were pulled in order to create the Institute, so only Jiro can understand what I had to go through. But I've only just risen to the stage for my research. My opponent and I are finally in the same arena, that's all. The critical fight comes after this, and it should be getting even more exciting in the future. By the way, Manager Nakagawa told me to tell you he wants you to hold a presentation in Tokyo. Even the Alphabet Board wants you to come meet with them. I guess they all want to hear this directly from you. Apparently things are going incredibly well. Oh my, isn't having you explain enough? No. I don't think that's what they mean. I bet they want to meet a pretty researcher in person, maybe. My, aren't you being silly, Jiro? Excuse me, Major Takano, there's a phone call to you for you from Tokyo. Okay. Thank you for holding. This is Takano. Hey, how you doing? Koizumi-sensei. Thank you for taking the time to call me. You know, I heard you made a significant breakthrough, Mio. I had to call you to congratulate you. Thank you very much. Thanks to your support, we've been able to accomplish the first step of identifying the microbe that causes the syndrome. I see. Great job, Mio. I'm sure Takano is very happy in heaven right now. It's too early to say. My grandfather was attempting to go beyond merely identifying the cause. His work was about showing the possibility of human thought being controlled by parasitic agents. Only when that's proven will his research be recognized for the great achievement it is. When we're able to explain all thoughts and religions with parasites, the world's going to be tossed in decay. How interesting. I can just imagine how those religious big shots will react once they find out their leaders are parasites. How interesting. I'd love to see that. I won't die until you show that to me, Mio-chan. Oh, please don't say that. Do look forward to it, though. I'll make sure this research will spread shock throughout the world. And then the whole world will finally realize how great my grandfather was. They'll be fighting each other over to read the documents he left behind. And only then can I say I've repaid my debt to him. I'm a little envious of Takano-kun. I don't want money, you know. I don't mind getting rid of half of what I have. I just wish I had a grandchild who would carry on my legacy. Thank you so much. Those words seem so much to me. By the way, I have a gift for you. It's a nice bottle of wine for you to celebrate with. I didn't know your address, so I sent it to the clinic over. They told me they're having a difficult time importing it, so it may take a little while. But when it comes, please have a party with the people who helped you. Celebratory wine? Well, I wonder what expensive sort of drink Koizumi-sensei will be sending us. Oh, it's not that kind of expensive. Don't you remember, Mio? Nakano used to keep a particular bottle of wine. I remember. That's right. My grandfather kept a certain bottle of wine. I don't know if he bought it himself or someone gave it to him, but he treasured it and always said he'd open it when his research finally gained recognition. I was a child back then, so I don't remember what brand it was, but Mr. Koizumi would know. He went through all the trouble to find the same bottle for this special occasion. For the first time in a while, she felt the same sunny warmth she experienced during her time with her grandfather. Thank you very much, Uncle Koizumi. I like it when you call me that, Mio-chan. I don't feel you're speaking to me when you say Koizumi-sensei. I can't help but smile along with him because I think Tomitake and Iri were just having a similar exchange. Well, if you like it that way, I'll be happy to call you that when there's nobody around. I'll be happier if you call me that in front of people. I don't know how old he is, but if he can laugh so energetically, he'll live for many more years to come. Surprised he's gonna die. I guess the saying about living a long life is true after all. Mikado and I both wished you were part of our family. We really did. My grandfather had his own family, of course. Because he was so into his research, he became estranged from his wife. They were legally married, but lived separately. I never met his family when I was a child. I believe this guy, the guy who's funding her, is going to die because there is a fragment that requires his death in order to progress. So clearly he's going to die. I only met him after my grandfather committed suicide. During his latter years, my grandfather went into psychological despair and began to look at his life with cynicism. His condition became worse over time, and he was shocked at his own dementia. He was afraid of living while his consciousness degraded. So he jumped off the rooftop of the hospital. Only my name was in his suicide note. None of his family members' names were in it. That's when all his relatives showed up and took everything my grandfather left behind. They were afraid I was going to get his estate. They had lawyers and all that, so I backed down. I asked for everything in his study in return. Those idiots don't understand the value of his research. They were actually happy to strike a deal out of court so they could get rid of the piles of paper and jars with human organs in them. They never even showed up once when he was alive, yet like hyenas they appear after his death. I'd never let them put their hands all over my grandfather's research, and fortunately, I was able to protect his soul from their tainted claws. Okay. I'll get going here. If there's anything you need, be sure to call Uncle Koizumi, okay? I'll do anything for my granddaughter. Thanks, Uncle Koizumi. I'll work even harder. This fucking Takano chick has so many goddamn sugar daddies. Holy shit. She gets funded by so many rich people. Well, he's not dead yet. Well, that one's not the right bullet. Bottle of wine, a promise, and a draft of the manual. Maybe this one? Nope. We're missing something. Or is their dissection plan discontinued? We don't know. A third-year curse hasn't happened. We can try H170 if we want to. Yosuke Uri's decision could have happened already. Can we fire this one off? We can? Okay, okay. Plans for Satoko-chan's dissection are moving right along. I don't want Satoshi to be sad. I feel pity for her and her harsh circumstances, and I'm still struggling with how much I have to sacrifice for the sake of research. Here. Sorry, what is it, Rika? One of my friends has been in the clinic for a long time. Do you think she has Hinamizawa syndrome? Who told you that? Oh no, I just thought about it. What do you think, Eri? Does Satoko have his Hinamizawa syndrome? Rika is on our side. There's nothing I have to hide from her. Actually, I probably shouldn't keep anything from her. Yes, the problems with her parents and then their sudden deaths. It was all too much for her to bear. Maybe that's what triggered it? What did the test results say? Level 5. She seems perfectly fine on the surface, but her emotions are extremely unstable. Since the other day, she's even been refusing to meet with Satoshi-kun. Satoshi told me. He's worried it's taking a very long time for Satoko to get better. Yuri, what will happen to Satoko? Satoko is Rika's best friend. How can I tell her we're planning to dissect her? However, even if I don't say anything, she already knows Satoko's situation is extremely poor. Did you find out a lot of things when you examined me? Sure, of course. We're even testing medicine which might be able to control the symptoms. Can't you give that medicine to Satoko? I thought about it, but it's too dangerous. We're still in the trial stages and trying to gather more data. We can't use it on someone who's still in a delicate situation like Satoko. And if you won't try that medicine, we'll have to Satoko. She spoke as if aware of our plans for Satoko-chan. Oh, she must actually know. I've told her about most of my research. She's more mature than she looks. It'd be easy for her to figure out. But there's even a 1% chance of Stoke getting better. I think we need to take that chance. It's extremely risky. In worst case, she could immediately display terminal symptoms and hallucinate, or potentially lose her consciousness and spend the rest of her life just staring blankly at a wall. How is that a bad thing from Dr. Erie's perspective? The guy who specializes in lobotomies. Isn't that exactly what he does to people all the time? He's perfectly okay with lobotomizing people, but oh no, if he accidentally lobotomizes someone, it's a problem suddenly. Either one would be too cruel a fate for her. So are you saying it's better to have her die in her sleep? Yuri. Just like Takano says, there are no guarantees in medicine. But if we don't do anything, Satoku will die for sure. I think it's clear what we should do. True, you're right. But I know too well, C-103, the medicine that's being tested, may not even be something that can be used. It may not even have a 1% chance of success, and worse, I can't imagine what kind of tragic end she'd meet if her body rejects it. And that's why, well, I'm tempted to believe it would be more merciful to feed her favorite food. Feed her favorite food, let her gently fall asleep, and after that dissect her while she dreams. I don't want to admit it, but Takano is right. I'm being indecisive and showing a lack of resolve. So we have a better plan. Our better plan, instead of giving her some questionable medicine, is to cut her open for our own interests. I can see why Dr. Takano hired this guy. He's like, man, possibly curing someone sucks. You know what would be better if we could cut this person open for more information. We could just cut this person open. That would be cool. Be more merciful. I could just torment them, leave them alive and in pain for like literal months. It's like if I just tortured someone and kept them alive using the most advanced medicine science can provide, that would be way more merciful than just someone possibly dying. Yeah, that would be rough. That'd be rough. Let's do that. Like, all right. How effective could the medicine be? Could the medicine made by someone like that really be? Because it was medicine I created myself, I couldn't even believe there might be a 0.1 chance of success. I think we can believe in it. She spoke as if she read my mind. Surprised, I raised my head to look at her and found her giving me a reassuring look. I never would have imagined someone her age capable of. Whose lives depend on your job. It's almost absurd a human being could control life and death like that. I can't even imagine the pressure. Her voice hasn't changed, but I feel like Rika is admonishing me. Almost as if she knows what it's like to be responsible for human lives. Guilt and regret are part of it. That's why you can't use the medicine on Satoko. Isn't that right? Takano said the same thing when she criticized me earlier, and I'm being criticized again. That's why I can trust you with Satoko. What? Human lives are precious. You understand that well, and that's why you do what you do. Without knowing it, how could you heal people? You think I trust medicine created by Takano, who thinks humans are just her guinea pigs? I shouldn't have laughed, but I couldn't help it. I felt like I should laugh. If both you and Takano each produce different medicine, I think yours would be the one to cure her. Because your medicine came from your heart. Your will to heal people is what cures them. You're right. I can't believe you're admonishing me about medicine. I let you use my body for Satoko. Everything you took from me is for her. If you created that medicine with the knowledge of how precious human lives are, of course it'll work on Satoko. Do Shrine Maidens take confessions? If they do, she's doing a great job being a Shrine Maiden at this age. This will be a gamble. The question is whether she'll accept it. We don't need to tell her. Learning of the syndrome will only dredge up the deep scar on her heart again. What did she mean by that? When I realized it later, I was surprised by how thoughtful and perceptive she was. Stop plans for dissection. We're gonna give Satoko Hojo C-103. I'll do my best to increase the chance, even by 1%. Oh, don't worry, Yuri. It'll work. You shouldn't be so optimistic. I know it'll work. It's already decided. That's a very reassuring prophecy from the Furude Shrine Maidens. Furude Shrine? Furude Shrine's Furude Shrine Maiden. Alright. Go for it. Yay! Satoko's being adorable as usual. And also can, like, and also is aware of exactly what the effects of the drug are, so she doesn't really have to concern herself. She can be every bit as confident as she needs to be. So cute. So cute being admonished by the censure, the 100-year-old lolly. Okay, so that was C103 dose experiment. Let's see. The plan has been discontinued. I don't know if Erie's motive to become a doctor is here, but that one's tempting. H170. Keep that one in mind. We haven't done H107 yet, so we're not going to touch that one. Death of Satoshi's aunt, not going to happen. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fever, not done yet. C117, not done. Koizumi's not dead. I didn't know who Koizumi was, so I had to click that one to find out. Let's see. Emergency manual is done. The promise is not made. The wine is not yet there, but it's on its way. It could maybe count as being done, so the promise, I guess, is the one that's missing. What's F in the 4th year? Not done yet. These ones shouldn't be done. The red capsule is an earlier request. I think it's near the start. Red capsule, here we go. So I think this one has to be next. H170. There's only one solution, right? C103's implementation on Satoko is going well so far. It wouldn't make any difference to me if the experiment failed. However, Erie's extraordinary focus and attention to the experiment has avoided Satoko Hojo hallucinating or turning into a vegetable during the experiment, and surprisingly, we see prospects of her returning to normal life despite reaching level 5. C103 still has many issues, but this experiment proved even a person who has reached level 5 can be cured. I didn't believe in it at first, but I guess I have to acknowledge Erie's hard work. Only Erie could have done this. Again, they have a cure now. He was tormented by naive humanism and didn't want to make mistakes. That's why he felt obligated to cure Satoko Hojo. The reason why I dislike Erie isn't because of his achievements or abilities, but because of that weakness. That's right, he's better than you and can actually cure shit. This time I had to praise him for it. I saw your report. I must tip my hat to you. No, I only did my job as a researcher. If that means fulfilling my duty as a doctor, well, nothing could please me more. It's hardly an exaggeration to say Satoko's now our most valuable specimen. After all, she's the first human to reach level 5 and live. Well, that's true. We'll let her go back to her life and keep our eyes on her. I'm going to tell her to come every Sunday for a checkup. How are you going to explain to her she has to give herself a C103 shot 3 times a day and she has to come here every Sunday? She has no subjective symptoms. I'm still trying to come up with a good excuse. I think I'll tell her I want her to help me with my research. She has to give herself shots daily and to come here Sunday for a checkup. And she'll buy it. She'll buy it. I'll pay her for helping me or something like that. I guess Erie is determined to cure her no matter what. He seems determined to keep her off the dissection table. He and I are in different positions, but I don't have any complaints about his naive ideals so long as they translate directly into passion for our research. If his plans can be put into effect and produce different results than the dissection, they'll still be useful to the overall understanding of the syndrome. I mean, the man developed a cure. Or at least a treatment. I shouldn't say cure because it doesn't permanently resolve the issue. But he developed a treatment that seems to completely hold off the symptoms, so this shouldn't be a problem. Mass produce the treatment, if at all possible, and now you no longer need your emergency stuff. I have nothing against Satoko Hojo. It's only that I see her as a research specimen. If she can be useful in that capacity without being dissected, that's fine with me. We need permission from her guardian to give her shots 3 times a day. After her parents died, her aunt and uncle have been taking care of her, right? Maybe I'll go talk to them. I hope they agree to her involvement in such a suspicious research. Don't worry, I'm sure they'll be happy to once they realize they'll receive 1 to 200,000 yen every month for it. That is a lot of money. So $1 to $2,000 a month? Do we have enough money? Sure, as long as we can produce documents that'll convince Jiro-san. Alright, I'll work on that. Also, we'll need to take action to prevent stressing Satoko. We don't want her to return to level 5. I hear her aunt and uncle are very mercenary. Perhaps we can handle them with cash? I plan to provide my help with their guidance too. I've heard Satoko isn't getting along with her aunt and uncle. Yeah, it's not going well. I never thought that it'd affect us in any way, but now Eerie has to deal with them. Maybe he's developed some kind of sense of responsibility or duty as her guardian. I don't really care. The more responsible he feels, the more progress our research makes. It'll be a plus for me. By the way, I saw the report on H170. Oh? Compared to your success, it's nothing, but I guess it was some kind of accomplishment. Honestly ironic, this same research center that produced the remedy to save her developed a dangerous drug that could instantly induce it. Eerie wasn't involved in the H170 research. That was my work. In fact, even if I asked him, he wouldn't have agreed to be involved. This dangerous reagent was developed during the process of uncovering the mechanisms behind how the pathogen controlling Satoka's brain could induce derangement of paranoia in their host. Put it bluntly, injecting H170 into a patient with Hinamizawa syndrome forces them to express terminal symptoms. It threw their brain into a simulated state of agitation, intentionally forcing the pathogen to grow unstable. If we continue researching this, it'll be possible to drive anyone with the syndrome violently insane at any time. Studying the mechanism behind that will help solve the syndrome's mysteries. So this study of H170 will be extremely important to future research. And this medicine has military applications as the client requested. At this point, there's no use for it, but once our research progresses further, it could be spread at the right moment to cause a certain type of reaction. Compared to a killer virus, it seems like a useless pathogen, but there's no way to detect it in a body, and it makes it look as though the person just went insane spontaneously, so it must have some useful application. The Marco Polo Bridge incident threatened to end research on Hinamizawa syndrome before. A historically important incident like that couldn't have been created by a killer virus. It's possible with Hinamizawa syndrome, though. The Elders of the Alphabet Project, the sponsor for our research, can think whatever they want about that. I don't care how they use what I've learned. My purpose is to solve the mysteries and to make people realize how important this research is. Also to make people acknowledge my grandfather's accomplishments and achievements. Yeah. Any military applications are just byproducts of the process I didn't care about. The clients will appreciate your accomplishment. Maybe our budget will increase for next term. Passion alone can't keep research growing. We need money. How much money did they need? Didn't she get, like, literal briefcases full of cash? Didn't she have literal, like, millions of dollars to throw at this? We must thank the sponsor for giving us so much funding. Maybe that paid for the whole building or something. For this much money to come from public expenses. Maybe Japan's richer than I thought. They're public expenses, but they're expenses that can't be made public. Eerie has no idea what I had to go through to get that money. Just suck up to some old rich dudes. Seems to work pretty well for her. Anyway, our research is going well. We don't know what we'll find out about the syndrome, but I'm sure every mystery will eventually be solved. I can hardly wait. What the syndrome indicates is that humans are simply empty containers, and what we believe to be our will is the actions of a parasite that lives in our brain. If that mystery was solved, it could have a greater impact than anything else in history. It's a truth which no one wants to believe, and it's an achievement my grandfather predicted back during his time. You have to do the suck to get cash, basically. I know now. I know the reason why my grandfather was so fascinated. All you're proving is that stuff residing in a specific lobe can cause you to go berserk if you agitate it. That's honestly all they've proven so far. Which is kind of eh. Hirakawa Park accident. We haven't gotten another Satoshi Hojo incident. T117 is not yet done. Koizumi is not yet dead. He doesn't have a part-time job. It's not the 4th year. We don't have the red capsule. We haven't seen Ichiro Maibara. We haven't seen the club and the Faride couple's death. We haven't gotten the red capsule. And we certainly haven't gotten anywhere else here. Really sure what to get. I guess I'm guessing. Results for these are done. The truth about the accident is required, but that one's in this one, so... Perhaps this one? I'm not sure why this one's viable, but... It seems we met one of the conditions to unlock this one. I'm just guessing because there's no other ones that seem... I'm kind of, at this point, I'm not going based on the requirements too much. I'm actually leaning towards what I think the content is and what's in linear order, as they aren't giving us the clues we need to tell that this is actually unlocked. Because the two requirements, we haven't gotten either of the requirements for this one. We just happen to be able to do it now, which is kind of weird. It's like there's the visible requirements that we may or may not meet, and then there are the invisible requirements for all of these fragments that we can't really guess. So we just have to, like, randomly click ones and hope they're the right ones, which is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. Alright, the dissection plan's been scrubbed. We're getting ready to administer an almost totally untested medicine, C-103. This experimental medicine suppresses the production of a certain type of hormone, and in doing so stops the transmission of the syndrome triggering Satoko's condition. The mechanism of the syndrome is as follows. The pathogen takes over the frontal lobe of your brain, inducing increased responsiveness to paranoia. As a result, the patient voluntarily carries out excessively defensive behaviors to a problematic extent. If this induction can be cut off, it'll be possible to save terminal patients from becoming deranged. It only cuts off an induction, it's not really a cure. Ironically, the brain's an organ that learns. Once the brain learned to be excessively paranoid due to Hinamizawa syndrome, even after the pathogen is eliminated, the brain doesn't simply unlearn that paranoia. In short, even if the pathogen doesn't induce derangement, the patient will be directed to such emotions of their own volition. That's somewhat volatile and unfortunate. And thus, it's impossible to completely escape the nearly deranged level 5 state. The brain is a learning machine. The proverb, "A burnt child dreads the fire," is a good example of this. Even after the burn on your tongue heals, the fear of being burned by food again remains. With a monster energy can, that's no ordinary can. When it ends up being a good thing, we call it learning a lesson, and we call it trauma when it doesn't. Oh, is that what we're calling it now? Alright. We predict Satoko's treatment will take a significantly long time, requiring both medications such as administering psychotropics and mental care like counseling. We have to slowly unravel her mind's solidified paranoia, while also suppressing the syndrome's induction of derangement. This is the treatment plan for terminal patients like Satoko. However, as we're going to stimulate parts of the brain that affect her emotions, while they're being stimulated by the pathogen at the same time, it's possible there could be unexpected side effects. Both her mental and physical strength hold the key to our success. A new page. New page. We're going to begin the experiment once she regains her emotional stability and physical strength, but... someone who threatens to disturb her emotional stability has been coming here every day. Uishi, that sly old detective from the Okinomiya Police Department. He thinks everything from the damn protest to the dismemberment of murder of the construction manager is an organized effort secretly conducted by the 3 families of the village. He even thinks the accident involving Satoko's parents wasn't an accident. That's why he keeps coming back so he can talk to Satoko. No matter how many times you come, I won't let you see her. She's still crippled by the shock of her parents' death. Can't you understand what she's been going through? I understand. I only need a few minutes, really. It won't take long at all. If you want me to get a warrant, I will, but that's pretty serious, you know? I'm being considerate of Hojo. It's why I haven't gotten a warrant. What are you trying to ask anyway? I don't really understand. Well, actually, it's possible the fall was not an accident. I know the Hojo couple were hated by the village after the visit to the dam, but who would actually follow them on their trip and push them off? Do you think that's absurd? Don't you think that's absurd? Well, we could call it an accident, but if that's the case, there are some things which just don't make sense. Why lie? With those lies, I don't think it was an accident. What lies? Well, Satoko Hojo said she was asleep in the car at the time of the accident. I think that story sounds off, doesn't it? Satoko claims she was asleep in the back seat when the accident took place. Oh, okay. So she didn't get out of the car at the viewing platform. When she woke up, she didn't see her parents, and then she found out they fell off the cliff. Where's the lie exactly? You aren't saying Satoko wasn't really asleep and she went over to the viewing platform with her parents, are you? Well, that's right. Satoko was never asleep. She got out of the car with her parents and went to the platform. I'm suddenly hit by a terrible possibility. If what Uchiha says is true and Satoko is saying she didn't go to the viewing platform even though she actually did, it's terrible to even imagine. Maybe she pushed them. Are you saying such a thing? Maybe Satoko killed them. Maybe that's what happened. We still don't know the truth, and we still haven't found out. Besides, why would Satoko lie? That's just it. Why would Satoko Hojo lie? That's why I need to talk to her, otherwise it won't end as a simple accident. It'll be a murder investigation, and Satoko Hojo might be the guilty party. Or one of the villagers. Hit either one. Either one's possible. Are you convinced Satoko's lying? This accident took place in a different jurisdiction. The guys from the Shirakawa station conducted the interviews with the parties involved. There are things that bother me in their report. Bother you? Like what? According to Satoko's statement, her parents asked her to come with them to the viewing platform, but she was sleepy, so she didn't get out of the car. Then she fell asleep and woke up, but became concerned because her parents hadn't come back and started to cry. One of the park workers on patrol noticed her and talked to her, and that's how the accident was discovered. And at the time, guess what? According to the park worker's testimony, she was the one who first said her parents fell off the cliff. But you see, it's hard to see the accident site in question from where the car is parked. If you look carefully, you might be able to notice the broken fence, but still, you know. I think it's odd to say your parents fell off a cliff just because you didn't see them when you woke up. Normally most people would say something like their parents went for a walk and didn't come back. That's a very good point, actually, Ishi. Why did she say they fell off a cliff? It just doesn't make sense to me that she told a stranger her parents had fallen off a cliff without even being at the site of the accident. I want to ask her why she's so certain her parents fell off a cliff. That's why I keep coming back here. I asked her many times before she was admitted, but all she said was she doesn't remember, or she was confused. Very much like a politician, right? That's why I think it's worth taking time to talk to her. The terrifying possibility turned to certainty in my head. I'd assumed her parents' accident triggered her terminal symptoms, but no. Satoko had already gone terminal just before the accident, and her heart was filled with paranoia that drove her mad. Do you think Satoko killed it? She was under a lot of stress because of her bad relationship with her stepfather. She was also being scolded by her mother for not being able to get along with him. If that made her paranoid, made her think her parents considered her a bother and were going to kill her. I mean, they did say repeatedly they wish she had never been born. When they went to the viewing platform, she must have thought they were going to push her off the cliff. So is the truth that Satoko pushed her parents off the cliff? Out of paranoia? Possibly real, possibly not. We're not quite sure. And then a tragedy took place and she pushed her parents off instead, although she considered it self-defense. I'm certain of that, because I know Hinamizawa syndrome better than anyone. The accident isn't an accident. It isn't a crime either, like Uishi is thinking. It's simply a tragedy. When I talked to Satoshi about the family, I was even more convinced. He told me, even though Satoko refused to open up to her father, he tried communicating with her. It's true their relationship wasn't good in the beginning. Satoko caused trouble repeatedly and even called the city's child abuse hotline. At that point, they received guidance from the center, and they pointed out the problem lay in lack of communication between daughter and stepfather. So the stepfather took a parenting course under their guidance, and awkward though it was, he made efforts to communicate with her. Satoshi noticed his efforts, and he tried to talk to Satoko about it. But Satoko didn't notice them at all. The excessive stress she was under triggered terminal symptoms, and she couldn't understand her stepfather's remorse. On the contrary, her stepfather's change created even more mistrust within her. That's fair. That's fair. As a result, they went to enjoy the beautiful view of Shirakawa Nature Park as a family and to share in that joy. Yet that humble, ordinary family's wish couldn't get through to Satoko-chan. With a tragic misunderstanding, Satoko stayed in the car, telling her parents she wanted to sleep, but then got out and snuck up behind them. I bet he heard her footsteps. He pretended not to notice her, thinking she was doing that to surprise him. It's sad just thinking about what must have run through his mind. Well, he thought he finally got through to her. She was actually approaching him with the intent to kill. But that's not Satoko's true nature. It's the disease. Satoko isn't the only one who's to be pitied. Her parents are its victims too. And now Uishi thinks she's a criminal. Judgment and punishment are required for crimes with malicious intent. But what she really needs is understanding and sympathy. And no one has that understanding except for me because I know about Hanamizawa syndrome. So basically, he's in like a bind because now someone committed a crime under the influence of a parasite and he can't tell them. He can't tell the police. Almost like it would be better to publicly research this. I'm the director of the Erie Institute, but I've never behaved as such or exercised that authority. But I'm going to do so for the first time since taking the position. I'm not doing it as head of the Institute, the secret research organization. I'm doing it as a doctor so I can protect Satoko. It's about the Hojo family's accident at the nature park. Do you think you can ask Okanogi for the mountain dogs to make it out to be an accident? Of course, that's no problem. The mountain dogs are a unit specialized in concealment and manipulation, after all. We have to put an end to it quickly, otherwise the police will end up getting closer to finding him in our research. Right. Please make especially Sir Uishi is drawn away from this case. We're at a delicate stage of the drug administration test. She doesn't need more unnecessary stress. You're right. I'll let the mountain dogs know. I've heard they even have connections in the police, so I'll give you orders to put pressure on them too. I'm sure the accident will be concluded exactly as that within a few days. And with that, it was declared an accident. If only it really was one, that would have eased Satoko's soul. Getting rid of the pathogen can't heal that wounded soul, nor can it erase the tragedy that had already taken place. So does Satoko just, like, suppress her memory of murdering her parents, then? I guess that's what she does, right? All I can do is my best, so the day she regains her smile comes sooner. One day, maybe. One day. Congratulations on that Zupu looping video getting so many views. That's awesome, dude. I was tempted to put out one myself, but since you'd already made it, I figured, why bother? Why bother? You've already made it, and you knew you were doing this exact same thing I was doing, more or less. Alright, we have the truth about the incident, and we have the results of these two tests. We should be able to do this. Distrust of the mother of a queen. Rika has developed a high fever. Oh, that's not good. A very high fever. It's not flu season, nor a season for any type of contagious disease. I could only think of the suspicious experiments Rika had gone through. Maybe the fever is caused by those. Her growth is rather slow compared to other children her age. Receiving mysterious shots and going through experiments every week, I'm sure her body is exhausted. I've asked the staff to go easy on her, but Rika herself is fearless and willing to go through anything. My husband, who should be admonishing her for that, truly believes her story, that it's crucial to the lives of over 2,000 villagers, and takes our own daughter to that clinic every week. I'm the only one who's sincerely worried about her health, and that's why I want to ask Erie to be a little more considerate towards her. Anyway, I gotta talk to them about taking responsibility for this. Right after I called, a staff member came to pick up Rika to admit her to the clinic. As her guardian, I came with them. Please calm down. We'll make sure she'll be okay. Please wait for a while. Will they? Will they really? How can I calm down? Why'd she come down with such a high fever? Isn't this caused by the experiment you performed last week? It's just a little girl, you know. She cares about her friend, so she's doing what she can for the sick girl. I understand. There's no way our research would affect her negatively, but besides, we're being extremely careful so something like this won't happen. That explains this high fever. It's probably due to the changes he's in. How could this be a simple cold? Because of this weird shot you gave her. Dr. Erie only told me to calm down and refused to accept responsibility. My husband told me this is for the sake of the village, and that's why I've held back my doubts until now, but I'm at my limit. Their existence has been suspicious from the beginning. They're conducting their research in secret, using a privacy policy as an excuse. It was shady enough on its own. It's just impossible. In fact, I recalled the Ministry of Health and was told that wasn't true at all. Even after I told them I'm Rika Furuda's mother, the clinic even came up with a stupid excuse saying normal workers often don't know of a special institute like theirs. That doesn't make sense. It's much too suspicious. Also, there's people who don't appear to be researchers working at the institute. They look like security guards, but they seem so different from normal guards at a normal hospital. In fact, one time I accidentally saw they were armed with guns. Ooh, scary. That's what... Are they policemen? I don't think so. Who are you all anyway? I refuse to believe you're from the Ministry of Health. Erie seems taken aback by my intensity and can't even answer properly. They're still hiding a lot more from us. It tells me the research they're working on with Rika isn't anything proper. Anyway, I'm Rika's guardian. Rika's still a child. Doesn't matter what she says, I won't let her participate in this research anymore. My, it's Rika's mother. Hello. Oh, what's the matter? Is everything okay? Well, Rika's mother says she won't let Rika participate in the research anymore. Why is that? She's not your guinea pig. You've never treated her that way. Takano does. You're misunderstanding. I'm a little startled. Erie is a weak person who backs down under pressure. Takano is different, though. I'm yelling at her, but she's not afraid at all. On the contrary, she's glaring daggers and looks like she's gonna jump on me. Rika's fever is caused by a cold. We didn't cause it. When it comes to safety and sanitation, we pay the same level of attention as a National Research Center. I don't mean to Riri, but considering you walk around while holding Rika's hands without disinfecting yours with alcohol first, we are far more sanitary. We're not talking about that. Anyway, Rika's not your toy. He'll never be back here again. You can't decide that by yourself. You and your husband both signed the statement of consent. We've been depositing money that's by no means a small amount into your account every single month for our cooperation in the research. What? I don't know anything about any money. I've never even heard of that before. Rika receiving money for participating in the research really is news to me. Knowing my husband's character, he wouldn't have used it as spending money behind my back. I bet he thought of it as a free service for the villagers and completely forgot about it being deposited into our account. There haven't been any strange deposits in the regular account. It might be in our savings. Anyway, I don't know about that. If you want to breach our contract, we'll have to ask you for the full amount of the deposits we made up until this point. Also, if one party is at fault for breach of contract. Takano, please calm down. Miss Furude, you too. As I explained to you before, we must find a cure for this syndrome, so villagers can continue to live without worries. Are they even getting paid for this? I didn't think Rika was getting paid. I thought it was just Satoko's family. He might be confusing them, or just making empty threats, because Takano is a violent person and wants to kill everyone in the city, so he doesn't really care what means she uses to accomplish that, as long as it's disease-related. Well, tell me, when are you going to find a cure? Doesn't make sense. At first you said it was for Rika's friend. Now Satoko's been released and is carrying on happily. You even told my husband 2 weeks ago you found a cure already, didn't you? Yes, I think I told him something like that, but you see, to solve the mysteries of the syndrome, you didn't mention anything about solving mysteries at the beginning. Rika was told to participate to find a cure for the villagers. Her job's done. All the research and experiments you're performing have nothing to do with the cure. You're doing them out of self-interest, aren't I right? Not true, it really isn't. Wait, Takano saying this? Takano doesn't even give a fuck about people. She's just here entirely for her self-interest. Anyway, this is a matter of a cold. It's just a misunderstanding. If you still don't trust us, then... Enough. Since money's involved here, I'll discuss it with my husband. Excuse me. They were just too shady from the very start. Because of their exaggerated story, Rika and my husband took their side, but it won't work on me. Anyway, I gotta settle things with them right away, because Rika isn't their toy. I especially don't trust the woman called Takano. Erie seems to me like he's still a doctor, but she doesn't. How can I describe her? I guess I can say the glow in her eyes is unpleasant. She only sees Rika as a guinea pig. I mean, you're not wrong. I can feel cruelty emitting from her. Neither my husband nor Rika noticed that. I have to protect her. As a mother, I have to protect Rika. Well, you're going to be disappeared. Again. That's not like you, Takano. Getting into an argument there will only make things more complicated. It's so unlike you. I know. Sorry for losing my cool. Did something happen to put her in a bad mood? Eri wondered. The heated conversation she had didn't involve the Takano he knew. I mean, that sounds like Takano. Oh, I didn't want to play another... I was trying to speed up the transition, not read another 100 lines of dialogue we'd already read. Redo this? Okay. So we finished, Distrust of the Mother of a Queen. We just finished that. Okay. To beat her to death. That is 4th year. The medicine is not completed. Rika has a fever. Jiro does not have a fever. Koizumi is not dead. No changes on that one. That's 4th year. We're all looking at 4th year stuff. 4th year curse, 3 year curse, red capsule. So we should be not looking at these. Go further back. The 3rd sacrifice seems likely. Rika's mother being marked as an opportunist has been done. Rika's mother being suspicious is already done. The situation has changed. Rika's father changed his mind about having her help out with the research. When Rika came down with a high fever the other day, the mother, who wasn't happy about her daughter helping in the first place, finally blew up. And I was hoping the father would convince her somehow, but now he seems to be on her side. Rika's father didn't get emotional like mother, but he demanded we make our research plans for Rika clear, and that we finish our research within 3 months at most, which was completely unrealistic. Research can't have a deadline, that's out of the question. We cultivate results by grinding down our knowledge, skills, and time. To take time from us is like taking away what's vital to live. How could he say something? Curses, curses. Rika's parents are the only saying that because they don't know anything about scientific research. However, as their parents of the Queen, we are completely lost about what to do. Tests and experiments on the Queen carrier are an essential part of our research into the syndrome. Her existence is the focal point of our work. To lose her would be like losing your sense of direction out in open water. Rika provides her cooperation with our research, but the withdrawal of her consent could be a setback. The situation's extremely dire. Rika's parents are only interested in finding a cure, but to me, the cure is only a small part of solving the mystery. I can't let her go. As are our differences causing this predicament? It's not only them. The same is happening between Eri and me. He thinks it's inevitable we need to stop the research if Rika's parents refuse to consent. And that's understandable. From the beginning, Eri never had the determination to solve the mysteries of the syndrome. He won't back down from the research assertively, but he will passively by agreeing with Rika's parents. Is that the attitude of a researcher trying to unravel mysteries? He's the type of man who would step on my grandfather's research with his dirty feet. He's nothing but a coward. Was in this half-heartedly, he started to feel guilty over his past. The moment he saw blood, he isn't qualified to even be involved in researching the syndrome. He's simply an outsider who joined because of the client's demands. If I were a man, he wouldn't be here in the first place. Well, it's true, he produced wonderful results with his development of a cure. He seems to think it's alright to close up shop with that. Is he planning to waste everything by being satisfied with just that tiny result? He doesn't have any right to discard my father's research. I can feel my guts boiling. No, Eri isn't the main person at fault. The one to blame here is that woman, Rika's mother. Well, didn't they say they were working to cure one person? I feel we haven't seen any contract, but that is what they said verbally, was that they were just trying to cure Satoko's ailment, and they have generated a treatment and got more information. If anything, it's either they tricked them and lied verbally about what they were having them sign, or it would be them more likely to be in breach of contract. In any case, you can at any point, I believe, refuse medical treatment, right? So, I guess we know how this goes. They get murdered by Takano's murder soldiers because she wants to do more research. If she wasn't selfish, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe it's my fault. I maintain trust through relationships and obligations all the time, but somehow Rika's mother and I don't get along. I didn't try to socialize with her. I thought it was fine because I got along with Rika and her father. But now the mother has influenced the father and changed his decision. What negligence, what a reversal, what a blunder. Eri is saying we should talk to the office in Tokyo about what to do next. But I know once the office finds out about this, they'll order us to shut the research down. I've worked so hard to get things started. If they hear anything negative, they'll put a stop to it. I've come too far to complete my grandfather's research. I can't let it be stopped. I still have time. I need to calm down and analyze this carefully. I've always come up with a great plan when I drink my favorite tea and bite my nails like this. I looked up at the ceiling and closed my eyes as tenderly as possible. There were times when I couldn't find a solution, but someone else came up with a simple one. I've been able to overcome everything that's been thrown at me. I even endured the hell at that orphanage, so I won't let that woman get in my way. Settle your thoughts down. Think about this clearly. Be calm, Mia. Someone else may come up with a better idea, but who? Not me. Can't be Eri. Of course, nobody from the village will do. Do I talk to someone in Tokyo? No. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. Even Koizumi would be disgusted if he finds out I can't solve such a simple matter alone. But the mountain dogs. I know. There's someone I can talk to nearby. They're supposed to be my subordinates after all. It's worth a try. I called the leader of the mountain dogs, Okanogi. They're my subordinates, but they're part of the SDF. I'm just a researcher, so we never really had a chance to interact. He did what he was supposed to, and I did what I was supposed to. So I never even thought of discussing anything with him, but they are here to protect and support our research. Why didn't I think of talking to him before? Oh, it's a difficult situation, isn't it? He used to speak standard Japanese, but now he has the Hinamizawa accent. I guess fitting into the region is the first thing they need to do. We may lose the Queen Carrie, and not only that, the mother might end up exposing our secrets. Can you do something about it? I asked Okanogi rather directly. I'm not really expecting an answer, but... Understood. The dog will take care of it. Give us a little time. We'll do a clean job. Take care of it? We'll make sure the police don't get involved. We need a little time to prep. But it won't be difficult. I'm startled. You know, I'm also startled by the government gave someone their own hit squad. Rika's mother was my enemy, but I was thinking about how I could convince her. But the leader of the counterintelligence unit, whose duty is to protect the secret, came up with a much simpler plan. You mean killing her? Preserve the secret. I'm told to do whatever is necessary. Of course, we won't do anything until we get an order. Right, this is a simple problem too. Rika's mother started to interfere with our research. Not only that, there's a chance she might talk to people about the Institute, so they'll eliminate her. Ah, that sounds like a good idea. You do a good job. That's why we're here. This will be our biggest job since the kidnapping of that minister's grandson. I remember now. The mountain dogs are the ones who kidnapped the grandson and used that to blackmail him. It's been a few years, and I completely forgot about that. They did such a marvelous job back then. That's right, that's right. I have the mountain dogs on my side. Yeah, so the mountain dogs don't require prior authorization, and they're allowed to go kill anyone they feel like killing on Takana's command. I want to know who the fuck in the SDF gives people that kind of authority, like without ever actually getting like a military commission or any permission whatsoever. Like, let's just think about that. They're like, yep, we're gonna write up a plan to kill everyone in the city. We're gonna execute it, and then we're just gonna be like, yep, we decided to kill everyone. Deal with it. Seems like a good plan. There should be some form of authorization for like murdering people, especially when you're taking several months to do it, and it's not like a heat of the moment, snap, quick-fire decision that you need to make in like 2 seconds. If this is something you're gonna wait 3 months for, if you're gonna wait 3 months to murder someone, you can certainly go contact someone who's actually able to like justify this. You got on with it right away. We could kill her even tonight, but that'd create too much of a fuss. We'll make it look like she disappeared. Give us a little time to make some arrangements. And just like a cat's eyes under a bright light, I can feel something in the back of my eyes open up. Until now, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how to make her my ally, or at least surrender or pacify her. Yet one order to this man, and this problem's easily solved. I feel like a bird taking its first flight. How easily I can get rid of that annoying mother. All I have to do is give an order. I feel grateful to Koizumi for giving me such terrific subordinates. What a wonderful power he's given me. I was taught all people are equal, but if I have the power to control others' lives, that means I'm more important than they are. What a feeling it is to be above others. So did she just want the mother to disappear? What? Oh, well, wait a minute. Does he mean only Rika's mother? I can feel chills all over my body. If possible, Maybe I should have her father disappear too. I mean, Rika's willing to help. She has no other relatives in the family. If both parents die, she has to depend on someone. The Institute will support her. We'll give her status, money, protection. We can give her anything we want to. And by doing so, it's possible to make her one of us rather than having her as a helper. All my worries are melting away, and everything I was just concerned about seems like a joke now. I had put such powerful subordinates all this time, and yet I never realized. All my tension is being released, and I'm starting to feel relaxed. I can feel myself regaining my cool head. I'll just get rid of them. Rika's parents. The Queen Carrier's my guinea pig. A guinea pig doesn't need parents. That's right. It's almost time for the festival. If they die on that day, people will call it the curse. The murder case from 2 years ago and the accident from last year are two separate incidents, yet they happen on the same day. They're being called the Curse of Oyashiro-sama, and if her parents' deaths occur at this year's Watanagashi, it'll be the curse 3 years in a row. The miracle of Oyashiro-sama and the curse. I'm gonna create them! It's a chance for me to ascend to godhood and toy with fate. The incidents that occurred 2 years in a row are said to be a curse, but not everyone believes it. But if it happens 3 years in a row, everyone will believe, right? It'll be a true curse created by me. I'll become Oyashiro. My desire for revenge against God is coming together. Make your disappear isn't fun, isn't it? When I started to laugh, Okanogi grinned to show his interest. We're gonna create the curse of Oyashiro. Can't just let her die. She'll be demoned away, and I'm going to enjoy dissecting her alive. Of course, I won't just have fun. This will be extremely useful for our research. After all, she is the previous Queen Carrie. Like, I want some people to research. Time to get to researching. Let's see. Ant's not dead. Red capsule in? What? How can it not be connected? We've done everything there. Maybe this one? Deep down, I was prepared for something to happen tonight once again. The first year, the workers were stirred into a frenzy, killing and dismembering the old man. The second year, the Hojo couple were killed through a fake accident. Since the damn protests, only people who have been hated by the villagers died on the day of Watanagashi. Some people in the village called the incidents the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Now that the damn protests are over, there would be no meaning in the village's enemies being killed on the night of the festival. I thought, if that was true, there were still some enemies left over. I thought perhaps they would happen again on the night of the festival 3 years in a row. My hunch was right. At first, however, it looked so natural, I didn't think of it. The festival was nearing its end, and the village officials were gathered under the main tent. They opened their beers and enjoyed the leftover corn and braised cow tripe from their refreshment stands. I was in the main tent, being entertained by the villagers, so I was actually there at the scene of the third year's incident when it happened. Yet I didn't notice anything. Furude-san, what's the matter? Are you feeling sick? Most of the older folks in the village were heavy drinkers, but a few were lightweights. The priest was one of the latter. The priest was a representative as well as a host during the Watanagashi festival, so every time visitors and guests arrived, he greeted them, and each time he was offered a drink. By the night's end, he was quite worn out. That's why I didn't think anything of it to see the priest sitting by himself in a folding chair. The mayor, Kimiyoshi, was the one to tap his shoulder and ask if he was okay. Are you okay? You drank too much, didn't you? Is your chest hurt? Sorry, I think I'm tired. Did you have heart trouble before? Getting sudden pains isn't a good sign. Eerie! Dr. Eerie! What's wrong? Is it your chest? That's not good. When I saw what was going on, I noticed he was covered in a terrible sweat, and was definitely not relaxing in his chair, enjoying the cool evening breeze. His face had a sickly pallor, and I thought he should lie down immediately. I should probably take you to the clinic. Are you okay? Can you hold on to my shoulder? Hey, somebody help! The priest doesn't feel well. What's wrong with my husband, dear? Are you alright? Mikado-san, perfect timing. The priest doesn't feel well. I'm going to take him to the clinic. Could you please have the car come around here? Sure. No problem. No problem. The priest and his wife headed to the clinic with Dr. Eerie. I don't know about young people, but the elderly know their own bodies well. They almost never push themselves to the point where they start feeling ill, especially someone like the priest. It was hard to imagine him drinking himself sick. The cumulative experience of my years was telling me something. I headed to the Eerie clinic just in case. I tried to follow the car, but because the festival was almost over and all the stands were closing, there was a lot of traffic going in and out, making it impossible for me to leave the lot. More than 20 minutes passed since the priest was carried in by the time I arrived. 20 minutes. If it hadn't taken me 20 minutes, my involvement with this year's incident would have been quite different. I regretted not leaving on foot the moment I realized how hard it was to get my car out. All I get to do now is jot down the facts, because between the time the priest left and the time I arrived, this year's curse had taken place. The priest's condition changed for the worse right after he arrived at the clinic. He died. The autopsy results say it was heart failure, but how do I accept that one? I don't think the priest was having health problems. Everyone was taken by surprise here. Obviously, Dr. Iri killed him, so good job, dude. Moreover, the wife of the priest disappeared too. According to the staff, she was with him right after he died, but she's nowhere to be seen now. Of course, she's not at home either. So, Dr. Iri and Takano... Dr. Iri, because Dr. Iri was there, so we can peg Dr. Iri as involved in this disappearance. Dr. Iri and Takano kidnapped and dissected Rika's mother while she was still alive, and then murdered his father. What a nice doctor. Knew I shouldn't have trusted that guy. Oh well. Maybe someone poisoned the priest, obviously. During the dam conflict, the priest was frowned on for his remarks. Well, now I hope Iri gets run over. Maybe he gets hit by a bus. Or maybe he gets to tear out his own throat. That would be ironic. Would that be a nice ironic demise for Dr. Iri? Him to tear out his throat, because he always seems to die in a nice, relaxing manner. It'd be nice if he got the jab and had to walk home instead of Tomitake. Although I wouldn't mind Tomitake also going for a walk here. He did set this whole project up, right? He did set this whole engineering project up to kill everyone in the village, so I don't feel too bad about him dying anymore. It's like, oh, okay. There's no need to make a big fuss because the project would be cancelled anyway. The older villagers like to hold grudges and hadn't forgotten that, so even I heard word of them talking about how the priest wasn't fit for the shrine to Oyashiro. I called for backup and had them search for the missing wife. With last year's falling couple incident as precedent, it was easy to believe both husband and wife could become victims. The youth group got organized and searched the village from the mountains. As the results, we found a set of sandals and a will by the edge of Onagafuchi Swamp. The will said something about our husband's death was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, and she was throwing herself in the swamp to calm the god's anger. And I'd like to point out that Rika is a fucking dumbass, because she didn't figure out that her own parents were murdered in 100 years of relooping this exact same scenario. In other words, she killed herself by jumping into the swamp, and legends say it's bottomless. It's connected directly to hell, and once you sink, you can never come back. Divers from the PD searched the swamp, but her body was nowhere to be found. The past two mysterious incidents were solved individually, as the higher-ups say, but something's odd about this year's death. The ill priest was carried to the clinic, his wife accompanied him, and within 20 minutes the priest was dead and the wife disappeared? The death of the priest might have been a fatal heart attack, but for his wife to assume it was the curse and to commit suicide, and in just 20 minutes, it doesn't seem natural. The Furude family has no relatives. Even if she's a true believer in Oyashiro, how could she commit suicide while leaving behind her one and only daughter? Iri's hiding something too, but he's just a village doctor, which means he's nothing more than their pawn. If this is all a conspiracy to assassinate the priest, there's someone who's pulling the strings. You mean Dr. Iri? It's Dr. Iri doing that. They were literally together, and he's the one who does all the dissections. I've been starting to think that trying to tie the past two incidents to the village so forcefully was overbearing of me, but this incident was enough to convince me that this series of cases involving mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa were grounded in one intention. The incident has countless discrepancies, but someone from the village is putting pressure on high command, and like the past incidents, this one will be treated as an individual case and forgotten. Since it happened 3 years in a row, everyone in the village will say it's the curse. I think that's the culprit's goal. After the war, the belief in Oyashiro became antiquated. Is someone committing these murders as a ritual to restore their dignity? The one pulling the strings must be the Sonozakis. So, I got a real question, since we're now like 3 years into this story. We're 3 years into this story, and Hanyuu, despite making a bold declaration that she's going to do literally anything, has done sweet fuck all. So I'm going to reiterate my earlier statement and say Hanyuu is the most useless fucking god in existence, as she's literally not interacted with anyone a single time in 3 years yet. She hasn't even talked to Rika once. We're now at the part of her parents' death, and she still hasn't said anything to Rika. Like, how useless can you be, Hanyuu? I think this is a reasonable amount of progress in terms of like progressing the story through this new loop to say Hanyuu's a fucking idiot. The only thing she's done in the last 3 years is manifest herself to Takano to tell her she's gonna beat her, and then unironically do literally nothing for 3 years. No setup, no preparations, no plans to defeat her, no nothing. Just like, I'll beat you. Does nothing. A few months later, does nothing. Like, Hanyuu is completely useless. So, I know she's a cute Oni girl, but I'm saying it right here. Shouldn't have fucking included her in the story. It's stupid. A few months passed. Oryu said something like, it was natural for the priest to be cursed by Oyashiro, and so the priest's case was lumped with the mysterious Hinamizawa deaths, otherwise known as Oyashiro's curse. Hey look, Oryu should have been dead. That would have solved that problem too, because guess what? Oryu controls the police. So if she says it's natural he's dead, and claims that she killed him, well, now no one's going to investigate it. Good job, Oryu. Again, a lot of the village's problems would be solved simply by running over Oryu with a car. At first I wanted to avenge the old man, but now the case had grown into an abnormal one centered on the village's faith. The old man's killer is human. I won't let it be pushed onto some cruel nonsense stuff. Curse. Well, good luck with that, since I don't think we're gonna get any help here. Alright, so next is Satoshi. We're going through the backstory piece by piece. But apart from the opening scene where Hanyuu said she'd win, Hanyuu hasn't actually done anything in 3 years. Like, we haven't even had a single scene with Hanyuu, let alone have her take action. Even a scene where she's just casually talking to Rika for no reason would make more sense, would be more sensible than whatever this is. Alright. The third year's curse is done. I guess we can try this one now. Strange medicine I can hardly remember was a capsule. Or perhaps an oval tablet. It was so red it must have been a capsule. I can't imagine a tablet in that color. It must have been a capsule. I think it was a little bigger than a normal one. I think. I can't remember. Although I can hardly remember, if I see that medicine again, it'll refresh my memory. It strips away humanity. It takes human soul, memory, emotion, and numbs the body. There are no thoughts, no interests, no will to stay awake or sleep. Sounds like depression medication. There's no sense of time. Sometimes a second can feel like an eternity, and other times I can almost see the hour hand move. Either way, there's no emotion involved. I can't feel emotions. The medicine only lets me stay in bed and look up at the ceiling. Only the people who have taken it can understand this misery, and what's more scary is that while I'm on the medication, I don't realize how scary it is. I'm given the medication daily, and I keep losing all my senses. When the medicine wore off by accident, I realized I should never take it again. That's right. This isn't medicine that will heal me, it's just gonna kill me slowly. If I continued to take the medicine, I wouldn't be able to tell if I was dead or alive. I'd probably end up losing myself forever. I'll keep looking at the ceiling without emotions and keep watching the top clock tick forever. Who is this supposed to be? Reina? If I take the medicine again, I'll lose the senses I finally regained. I might never bring myself back again. Since that day, I've realized that I've been pretending to take the medicine, but throwing it away instead. If your doctor prescribes medicine, you have to finish taking it even if your symptoms are gone. I can hear my mother's voice. Anytime I went to the doctor's office while I was a child, my mother said that to me. And I usually got well before I finished it all, so I didn't finish taking it. That's why my mother said it. But this is a different kind of medicine. I don't remember how old I was when my mother said it. But with this strange capsule in front of me, I have to try and get rid of my mother's voice from inside my head. I pressed down on my head with my elbows until it hurt, trying to get rid of what my mother always told me. Right. As my head cleared, I started to remember the ugly side of my mother. She betrayed her family. She betrayed me and my father. We waited at home for her with dinner on the table. Yep, this is Rika. Or not Rika, Reina, Ryugu. She told us she was busy with work, but she was having an affair. It was bad enough, but she asked my father for a divorce after he took such good care of her for so long. But there's something else I can't forgive her for. She invited only me to meet her new family. Not my father, just me. My father and I are family. Family means being together, yet my mother tried to destroy the bond between us. Not only had she destroyed her bond with him, but she tried to destroy my bond with him too. And when I remember, it makes me feel angry and hateful. I can't forgive her. The back of my eyes started to hurt, and I could feel the hatred on my face. The overwhelming animosity aimed not only at my mother, but the man she had an affair with. Uncle Akihito. I didn't like him teasing me, but he gave me an allowance and tried to have fun with me. I liked him a lot. But his niceness was all calculated. He wanted to destroy the family bonds between my mother and father and me. That's why I shouldn't have said I liked him much. That's right. I'm starting to remember and understand. I now know my true enemy. It was his fault my mother started having an affair. Because my mother was a good mother. No, I mean, that's probably wrong. He's the one who made her a bad one. The people you have an affair with are not the reason your parents are having an affair. It's your mother's lack of morality or care for her significant other that's causing this problem. So, when was the first time I met him? I think it was the time when my mother and I went out and had lunch at a restaurant. She introduced him as one of her colleagues from work. And at that time, if I think about it, that first meeting, I think I felt something wasn't right with the way my mother acted around him. I did think something was wrong. It didn't feel right. I wish I'd trusted my instincts then. I was a fool to think he was a nice person because he gave me a strawberry from his piece of cake. It wasn't my father's fault. Because I bet he never met Uncle Akihito, but I have. I met him many times. There were a lot of chances to realize he was my enemy. If I had a strong enough will to protect my happiness, I could have noticed that. I can't forget how my father looked on that day. My father, so nice, gentle. He grabbed his knees so tightly and cried so hard. He asked me if I knew Uncle Akihito, and I answered yes. And he slapped me in the face, and when he slapped me, I finally realized how stupid I was for being taken in by him. Yuhime can NP on me whenever she wants. You're gonna die, son. You're gonna die. That's right, it was my fault. I destroyed the happiness I hoped that would last forever with my own two hands. If I hadn't been that stupid, my father wouldn't have had to cry like that. My mother would have stayed good. Your mother was already evil by the time you met her, if by that standard. If I wasn't that stupid, it's my fault. I can't forgive my mother and Uncle Akihito. Even when I hate him this much, I still call him uncle and can't forgive myself for that. It was my fault. Everything was my fault. I was too stupid and foolish, and that's why this happened. I hate her. I'm sad. I'm frustrated, and I can't stop being angry. If my mother ever came back to this house, I'd rip her apart with my bare hands. But she never came back. My anger turned towards everything my mother left in the house. I destroyed every relic my mother left behind, one after another. I threw and smashed everything, but that still didn't calm me down. Even after I turned the whole house upside down, I still couldn't calm my anger. But where does it gather? It starts from inside me. It goes through my arms to my fingertips. It spurts from my nails. Where else can it go? So my nails aim at my own body. My body is the filthiest and most disgusting thing of all. I'm the one to be blamed. I'm not to blame. My mother is most at fault. My mother is the most corrupt. My body and soul feel filthy. I wanted to stain myself black and slice the remaining flesh into pieces. And one day I finally realized there are tons of maggots in my blood. You have fire resistance because no flame is strong as the passionate flame in your heart for Kiyohime. Oh my goodness. This guy, can he really withstand the heat of Kyo's love? That's a lot of fire, my dude. You're gonna need flame immunity, a little bit of resistance. That 5% damage reduction isn't gonna save you when you take 4 billion damage. I'm rotten. I'm rotten from the inside. Rotten. But it's indescribably itchy. Itchy. I stabbed my thigh with a razor blade in the bathroom. The blood flowed out. Reddish black maggots spilled out, and I forced myself to open my blood vessels with my thumbs. The maggots spilled out. They squirm. So many maggots spilled from my left thigh. There are probably just as many in my right thigh. Maybe my calves too, my arms, my abdomen, my chest. No. How many maggots are there in the blood vessels in my neck? Strangely, although I've become rather insane, there's still a part of me that's calm. If I keep ripping myself apart like this, I'll end up dead, but everything is my fault and I'm the one to be blamed. Even if I blame my mother, the only way I can disgrace her is with my own body. Oh, I get it now. That's the best means for cooling my anger. I feel like I'm thinking incredibly rationally now. In order to forgive myself, I need someone else to blame. It has to be someone else's fault. But no such person exists. No matter how much I think about it, or how I twist the logic, my own body is the only outlet to vent this anger. And so long as there's no one else to blame, I'll be forced to rip open every blood vessel in my body. Just like no matter how much I scratch, it still itches. No matter how much I rip myself apart, it's not enough. The blood is all over the bathroom. I'm sure it makes for quite the gruesome scene. Although I'm trying to stay calm, I can't ignore the sharp pain that runs through my body. Yeah, I've lost so much blood. Or maybe because I'm naked in the bathroom, I feel freezing cold. You also start to feel cold due to blood loss, but that's okay. My whole body is throbbing. My heart is beating so fast. Also blood loss. I'm cold and hot at the same time. I'm sad, angry, I'm in pain. Yeah, man, you are like Sigurd and Brynhild. I hope you have guts then. I want to find something that lets me forgive myself. And then it came. It came in a heavenly light, a mysterious and unreal light, like something out of this world. It apologized. It kept apologizing. Wait, why is it apologizing? You apologize when you're at fault. So this thing I just met for the first time was admitting to wronging me. That means I'm not at fault. It's at fault, not me. I dropped the razor blade. It fell into the puddle of blood. I like how they keep this entire scene black. They're like, we need to keep this PG, so we're just gonna like make a black scene. The pain is taking over my body. The pain of ripping apart my body is taking over me, and I've been telling myself this pain is the punishment for what I've done. But I'm not at fault. It is, so I don't need to accept this pain. As a punishment, I don't need to defile my body anymore. She continued apologizing to me over and over as I stood there covered in blood. She apologized every time I wanted to blame myself constantly whispering it's not my fault. Oyashiro exists, and she's always following me. Pit, pat, pit, pat. Every time I can't endure the guilt, she apologizes and tells me I'm not at fault. Everything is caused by the curse. This is the first time we've had Hanyuu do anything, and she's the reason why, I guess, Reina comes here. Things started going wrong when I broke the rule that I wasn't supposed to leave Hinamizawa. And I finally remember, when I moved from Hinamizawa, one of my neighbors gave me a charm. She said if I left it, I'd be cursed, so I had to take the charm. Right, she gave me a charm. It had some complicated writing, but I haven't seen it since I moved here. I might have lost it. There's nothing I can do about that. For Kyo, everyone is Anshin. You're just one of many, and the others don't care for her. They're all different versions of Kyo Hime. They all have their own Anshin. Right. If residents leave the village, they'll be cursed. My mother, and even Akihito may have gone insane because of the curse. Well, it seems like it's only you, though. Nobody's at fault from the beginning. Because everything is caused by the curse. Nobody's at fault. Nobody. I'm finally able to forgive everything. The anger I couldn't get rid of even after I destroyed everything, including my body and soul, it's finally gone. Father, now I know. The curse is what caused my mother to leave, and for you to be so sad. You remember Oyashiro, don't you? The guardian deity of Hinamizawa? That's right. The people of Hinamizawa aren't supposed to go to the outside world. That's why Mother went insane. It's all because of that curse. If only we'd stayed in Hinamizawa, we could have been happy. Oyashiro came to me and told me that. Come to think of it, Oyashiro's been trying to tell me that for a long time. After Mother left, I didn't know why she left or how to express my anger. Oyashiro has been following me ever since then to let me know that. She followed me everywhere. The sound of her footsteps echoed behind me, but I pretended I didn't notice her. I was so stupid. I didn't hear the voice until I slashed my body all over. If only I'd listened to Oyashiro's voice. I bet she started warning me once Akihito came into my life. If the whole family had gone back to Hinamizawa, my mother wouldn't have had an affair. We would have been happy there. I bet Oyashiro's been trying to tell me that. She must have been trying to warn me, ever since we left it. She's always with me. She followed me everywhere. I was so stupid, trying to pretend I didn't notice. Everything was because of that stupidity. If only I'd noticed her voice, my family wouldn't have suffered the curse. Oh, my fault. Oyashiro is apologizing. She keeps apologizing, which means it's all her fault. So it isn't my fault, right? Because this is the curse of Oyashiro, right? She's apologizing, saying I'm sorry. Oyashiro's apologizing, so I'm sorry too. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your voice, I'm sorry. We're from Hinamizawa, we gotta keep hearing your voice. Oyashiro really exists. Can you hear, Father? Don't you see? Oyashiro's right there apologizing, saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. Come on, Father, let's apologize. Mother, you don't have to apologize. You should die because of the curse. I hate you. I hate myself for being your daughter. Fair enough. These maggots are your fault. They make me itch everywhere. I'm sorry. I don't want that medicine. My mother got it to kill me, so I don't want it. I don't take it. I told you I won't take it. Stop. This is a curse. You can't fix it with medicine. You won't get rid of the maggots because this is a curse. I don't want a shot either. Stop, it hurts. Everything is falling into a gray world. The voices of my father and the doctor sound so far away. Even what just happened seemed like it happened a long time ago. And again, I'm given the capsule, and even my memory from a minute ago is gone. Got to go? Your head hurts? You're just checking in on everyone? Well, I'm sorry you gotta go. I'm sorry you have a headache, my dude. Take some Tylenol, maybe get some rest. I hope you're feeling better later. I'm back in bed, staring at the ceiling. In what I can see, the only thing that interests me are the hands on the clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I follow the minute hand as it goes around quickly, but the hour hand goes around slowly. I see other things too, but they keep going through the same motions, like the hands on the clock. Sorry, it's all my fault, I'm sorry. Oyashiro keeps apologizing. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I'm sorry, tick-tock, tick-tock. I'm sorry. Repeating over and over constantly and nothing else. The chorus of the Higurashi come in through the window during the night, and it seems louder than usual. Scene end. Reina is finally back in Hinamizawa. Okay, what's next? Koizumi's not dead. There's no footsteps behind him. There's no promise. We did get the red capsule, though. The Furude are dead. I think we can start with Reina. And the red capsule. Hello. Good afternoon. Oh, who are you? Oh, sorry. We just moved next door. We're here to introduce ourselves. Nice to meet you. Oh my, someone as young as you moved here? Welcome. Our new neighbor is here to say hello. Oh, don't yell like that. Thank you for taking time to come over. They're the Ryugu family. They just moved to the empty house next door. Ah, you're Reina-chan, aren't you? Ah, you've grown. I'm Reina. Thanks for remembering. Mom, do you know her? Of course I do. You were living in Okinomi then, so you probably don't remember. But you used to live next door. You came back, huh? This village is better than the big city, isn't it? I don't remember much. I was so small when we lived here, but I feel this is where I belong. You'll fit right in. If there's anything we can do for you, let us know. There's no need to hesitate. Being unreserved is the rule here, after all. But yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I thought I'd remember things if I walked around the village, but I still don't remember much. I do recall, however, the vivid breeze and the brilliant greenery. I don't remember the village, but I remember this is my hometown. Red scars still remain on my body. They're hardly visible and I can't even feel them. I'm sure they'll disappear soon enough. Now that I'm back in Hinamizawa, sometimes I wonder who I was back in Ibaraki. In fact, I think I wasn't myself from the moment I left. And now, by coming back here, I've regained my true self. I can hardly remember what I was like back in Ibaraki. Well, that's probably because of the red medicine. The medicine erased all my painful memories. Maybe that was for the best. I just wanted to be forgiven back then. If only you could just take a nice drug to erase some annoying memories. That would be nice. I couldn't forgive my mother, and I couldn't forgive Akihito, and more than anybody, I couldn't forgive myself. I wanted someone to acknowledge I wasn't at fault. I wanted to be forgiven. So Oyashiro came and apologized. She told me I wasn't at fault because it was the curse of Oyashiro-sama. That's how I was able to forgive myself. I didn't have to die by tearing my blood vessels out of my body. I think people have to die because they become corrupted. That's why people try their hardest not to dirty themselves all their lives. But I'm still living, despite how dirty I am. I've been allowed to live. Congratulations, Reina, you're not dead. Is there still some filth left on? Or am I clean? I don't know. The only thing I know is that the me who lived in Ibaraki and the me who's here now are two different people. I no longer feel the need to take responsibility by ripping myself apart because of this filth. Okay. We're basically following like all pieces of all the stories we already knew still. After arranging some furniture and unpacking, we finally had dinner. Although I hardly remember Hinamizawa, my father remembers things clearly. It was around when we lived here before. The Watanagashi festival has grown huge these days. It's held at the end of June. Watanagashi? I've never seen it myself, I don't know too much about it, but supposedly people let cotton absorb the filth on their bodies and drift it down the stream. Well, that sounds lovely. Absorb the filth? Wash your filth down the stream. Yeah, of course. Humans are sinners, and as we live, filth piles up on our bodies, supposedly. Once a year, we get rid of the filth by letting the cotton absorb it. People become burdened with filth and sin by doing something bad. Court sentences can settle your crimes legally, but that doesn't mean the burden of sin, of the filth, will simply go away. In other words, human hands can't erase human filth in this world. This filth is something humans can't get rid of, and that's why we need a god from a different world to do this. At least that's what I thought. But I'm surprised to learn about Watanagashi. Human hands erasing human filth in the human world. Letting cotton absorb the filth and drifting it down the stream. That means it's okay to live in this world. I tried to kill myself because I couldn't forgive myself. Oyashiro apologized and told me to come back. And now, here in Hinamizawa, there's this Watanagashi, a ceremony to get rid of filth. This isn't just a coincidence. Hinamizawa is a place to wash away your filth and forgive sins. A place of forgiveness. Called a purification ceremony. I've heard of those before. Japanese culture is very strict about filth. You aren't allowed to remain in the spotlight if you accumulate too much. See, that's the reason why politicians and company presidents resign immediately once people find out about their dirty deeds. You have to leave the spotlight if you're filthy. Put it in a bad way, the filth is pushed onto someone else and they're held responsible for it. Sins and filth must be removed. That's why people push them onto others and try to get rid of the filth by sacrificing that person. But if that's the case, every time the filth is created, people will try to pass around the responsibility for it. It's awfully hideous, like seeing demons in the human world. That's why they come up with the idea of letting cotton absorb it. By doing so, they can live without making others take the responsibility. Putting everyone's sins onto someone and killing that person makes that person a sacrifice. And who wants to be that sacrifice? That's why they push their sins around. A purification ceremony is about replacing the sacrifice with a non-human one. The purification ceremony dramatically changed Japanese culture. Before then, people always believed someone had to be a sacrifice. In other words, even with filth, everyone can live without blaming someone else. Filth can be forgiven with a method other than death. Only an existence higher than humans can forgive them. I was forgiven by Oyashiro and came back here. Watanagashi, to the purification ceremony that exists here, letting cotton absorb the filth and letting it drift away. There's no need for a sacrifice. That's why I've been allowed to live. The filthy me drifted away so that the me that remains is no longer Reina Ryugu. If I'm not Reina, then what am I? Without filth, without all the icky things, what am I? A name vaguely appeared in my head. My new name, the one that removes one of the letters from Reina, but I think it's a cute name. All the icky things are erased and forgiven with the removal of that one letter. So my name is no longer Reina. My name. Reina. I'll just finish the sentence because you guys all know it anyway. It's definitely Reina. If the entire backstory being Reina's didn't clearly point that out. A watermelon from the Sonozakis. We actually got that one already. Guess I'll get going. Thank you. Don't mention it. Come back anytime, okay? Hi, I'm home. Hey, Uncle Hiroshi. Hey, long time no see. Hey, Mion, are you going home? I gotta give my clients a ride. A ride? Oh, you're talking about your realtor business, huh? Well, the Sonozaki family is one of the largest landowners here in Hinamizawa. However, since all the land is out here in the countryside, it just ends up sitting there. Recently, land owned by the Sonozaki family was put on sale in lots. At the family meeting, some of our relatives opposed the idea by saying we shouldn't sell off land that was handed down from our ancestors, but Granny snapped and shut them right up. Some of the unused fields were made into vacant lots and released for public sale. Actually, I had some questions about it too. We're very wealthy. We have plenty of land as well as money, so why do we have to sell it off? What's more surprising to me is that Granny was the one who came up with the idea. I would have thought she'd get furious if someone even mentioned something like that. Well, they own all the land, so nobody could ever settle there. You can never expand your village because there's only so many houses in the village, and you own all the land around the village. You're already in the station. Be sure to stop by. I'll treat you to a cup of barley tea. Oh, thank you very much. Tip, how's your business going? I'm surprised there's actually city folks who are interested. They must be those nouveau rich types who live in the big city yet also want a house in the countryside. Well, I guess some people are curious. There's one family seeking to move here, not purchase a villa. He said he wants to build a studio, so he must be an artist of sorts. Oh, that's great. Gosh, I better go now. Supposedly he planned a tour to show them the lots, and he's the one driving the bus. It should be about time for the next tour and explanations to end. He left in a hurry. Can I ask you something? Why'd you want to sell our land? You don't like newcomers. I don't like newcomers, and I don't like big city people either. But the village needs them. Like ventilating a room. Is it good for the village to have new people move in? It's a wonderful village, but the world is changing quickly. In the past, a small change took 10 or 20 years to happen. It was such a quiet, unchanging village. Well, that's rural life in this village. Nothing different from yesterday and today. It's too boring for me, though. You made a friend, didn't you? Reina Ryugu-chan moved here, and you got along great. You told me you were happy you had a friend your age. Yeah, making friends unexpectedly is fun. I remember you saying school is boring when Ren is absent. You remember that? Are you saying shit? The good thing about letting new people move here? No matter how cold it gets, you still have to ventilate your living space, or it gets filled with bad air and you'll suffocate. You open the window knowing the freezing cold air will come in. Letting outsiders is like ventilating the village? Sure, it lets fresh air in and gets rid of bad air like us. If I bring up the Hojo family, I know Granny will explode, so I won't. But I think what Granny is trying to say includes things like their ongoing isolation. Even now, when she remembers what happens at the explanatory meeting, she gets really upset. Granny is like the saltiest person on the planet, and is responsible for several people dying at this point. Because we have both of Rika's parents and both of Satoko's parents on Granny's head right now. Can someone... Rika, can you please just run over this chick with a car or some shit? Like, you'd unironically have a better life if that happened. But I guess even she feels that needs to come to an end. But of course, she can't say that she'll forgive them, not when she's at this stubborn age. Don't worry, she has to let a few more people get killed because of it. She can't lose face by openly saying they need to be forgiven. Honestly, I think she's behaving like a little schoolgirl who actually likes a person but treats them rudely when they're around. Except with lots of people dying because of it. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe people really do go back to being children when they get old enough. And I'm not just talking about Granny. The same can be said about all the old people in the village. Maybe I should say the evil around here. That must be what she meant by bad air. There's no use circulating air in a closed room. Unless you open the windows and let fresh air in, the air in the room won't be purified. I don't know if there's actually going to be people moving here, but don't you think you're expecting too much from someone who does? Just Reina movie or changed you, Mia. Whoever moves here will change this village. If possible, I hope some young, energetic people who have the charisma to lead will appear. Need to be the ones to put us old people away into heaven. Are you thinking about Gramps? Have you? Nobody's thinking about him. Have this housekeeper put away the tea set on the veranda. Alright, I will. Mia? The day Satoshi Hojo disappeared, you came to me. I guess I did. That is what woke me up. This problem with the Hojo family, we can't just let time take care of it. Yeah, we've had 3 people disappear. We've had 4 people get murdered. Come on. We gotta take care of ourselves as soon as possible. Granny is the worst person to ever happen to the village, unironically, which is funny, because Takano's trying to kill everyone in the village. And all of it. All of the reasons she's able to kill everyone, and people are on board with it, mostly stem entirely from Oryu's decision making. Oh, that's so fun. But unfortunately, Rika's too dumb to realize that. That would probably be the easiest solution, just kill her near the start of your damn conflict. And suddenly we no longer have a crisis. But you can't do it yourself. You're gonna have an outsider take care of it. The best I can do. No matter how bad your hand is, the next card can change the flow of the game. Maybe it's a good idea to draw cards with a stack. Your generation will be a new wind. Let that new wind come from the outside, and you'll be the wind from the inside. When both winds create a gale, the gust will blow away the stale air from the village. I mean, I feel like there's not enough people. There's nothing but stale wind here, because so many people have died. But okay. I wonder how many people need to die before someone realizes Oryu needs to be thrown off a bridge. The epitome of leaving your problems to others. You're the one who started the fire, and you're gonna have your grandchild take care of it? Oh, don't say that. As the new leader of the Sodazakis, bring the new wind into the village. If you're saying it's my job as your successor, oh please, Mion. I'm too old. The only thing I can do is be despised by people. The wind chime sounded quietly. Maybe that's a sign to let us know a cool breeze is on the way. I'm a little bit tired of seeing Oryu get people killed repeatedly. Preview of lots for sale is next. Or could be. There's no footsteps. There's forgiveness of someone's sins, but Satoshi's not aware of his. Shiro doesn't have a fever, the medicine is not completed. Koizumi has not perished. Means we're intended to read these out of order. Satoshi's aunt was the disappearance was referenced, but Satoshi hasn't actually killed anyone yet. The 4th year's curse is this one? I don't think we have the 4th year's curse. We might be able to do footsteps in the 4th year, maybe. Can I do this one? Yep. My harsh and brutal days continue without end. The situation between my aunt and Satoko remains the same. My aunt yells at her for no reason every night, and although Satoko cries, she still talks back to her. So my aunt's yelling goes on and on and on. Satoko's crying goes on and on, too. When Satoko sees me, she grabs onto me. Now, I got a real question for Dr. Erie. If you're willing to have hit squads murder people and grab them for dissection, why are you not willing to use your hit squad to help anybody? Like, you're given a government hit squad and literally zero oversight, and they're like, do whatever you want. Kill people? Yeah, go for it. Why don't you just be like, hey, she's interfering with our experiment, and fucking axe the aunt and uncle? But apparently, Dr. Erie is a dumbass and doesn't want to fix these problems. They just want to murder people. Like, if you get in the way of the research, they care, but if you have, it's like, why does someone with so much power not use any of their power to help someone instead of just, like, doing their research shit? Ugh. When Satoko sees me, she grabs onto me. She hides behind my back and tries to ignore my aunt's yelling. She always comes to seek my help. Satoko doesn't open up to anyone but me, so if I don't protect her, she'll be devastated. That security is something our parents didn't grant to Satoko, and I have to be there to provide it. But every day, day after day, every time Satoko cries, every day, day after day, she grabbed onto me while crying yesterday. I patted her head, but along with pity, a different emotion came to me. I wanted to grasp her head and smash her against the wall. What an unbelievably devilish and awful emotion. No. I can't think like that. It's not that I can't think of it, I just can't acknowledge that feeling. Since that day, there's been someone else inside of me. That someone is trying to eat me from the inside and switch places with me. When Satoko begs for my help while crying, that person tries to make me spill out some awful and hateful words that are sure to damage her forever. Leave me alone. Don't grab onto me. Go away! I can't. To prevent him from taking over my body, I clenched my stomach and drove him out. I managed to do that. This time at any rate. But that wasn't it. That person's coming after me, trying to get back inside me. I won't let such a scary thing back inside of me. He knows there's no room to slip into my heart as long as I keep it held shut like this. So he stopped trying and instead follows behind me. He's waiting for me to let my guard down. When I walk, he walks behind me. He's breathing down my neck and he follows me everywhere. When I lie down, he stares at me. He's waiting for the right moment to jump inside me so he can hurt Satoko. It's been so hot lately. Maybe the heat's getting to me and that's why I think things like this. We got a stalker. It might be Hanyuu. He might also be hallucinating. It's hard to tell. Hydrate. I'm the only family Satoko has, so I'll protect her from my aunt for the rest of my life. That's my eternal duty. The rest of my life? Forever? Well, do I really have to do it forever? If only Satoko... Well, but I'm her family. But it's because of my aunt. It's because of the villagers, too. It's almost Botanagashi. I mean, you know, it's supposed to make you paranoid. So, the disease is supposed to make you paranoid, but is he really being paranoid? Is he really being paranoid when he thinks it's because of the villagers and it's because of the villagers and people around him and because of his aunt? Like, he's not wrong. I feel like half the time the paranoia is actually accurate, which is the most annoying thing about Higurashi. Is like when people are being paranoid, they're like, I think someone's after me, and you have a look and you're like, wait, there actually are people after this person. Like, they don't seem that delusional when they're actually completely true. The reason your life is so awful is because of most of the villagers are terrible people. Because Oryu's a horrible person and wants your family to suffer and die. So being afraid of the villagers and thinking they're out to get you is completely right, as that is basically their orders from Oryu. Or to fuck you over, Satoshi, so... Is it really paranoia if it's fact? Almost with Tanagashi, and some irresponsible people are saying the curse will fall on Hinamizawa once again. They're saying it'll fall upon me and Satoko for sure. Maybe it's just my imagination, but lately the villagers are expecting it. Especially, they're giving me some especially sharp looks. I feel like I'll be killed on the day of Watanagashi. Of course, there's no reason why I would be killed, it's just my imagination, but... Pat, don't come inside me. Satoko is my only sister. And my family. Don't tell me those awful things. Pat, stop. Don't come this way, don't come this way! The footsteps came right up behind me, and the hand touched me on the shoulder. Oh, Reina. Are you okay? Are you? I must have been acting weird. Reina looked worried. Her name is Reina Ryugu. She just moved here and transferred to my school. Nobody remembers her, but supposedly she lived in Hanamizawa a long time ago. In fact, she hardly remembers anything about the place either. Since Mion's the only other classmate who's my age, I'm glad she's my friend. She usually carries on happily alongside Mion, but occasionally she shows up more feminine consideration. Feeling okay? You want me to take you to the nurse's office? Do? Thanks. I'm okay. Do I look sick? Her immediate answer made me realize I wasn't myself. Is it about Satoko? Are you worried? No, that isn't it. She knows that my problem isn't physical, but a mental one. This is just something I think to myself, but even though Reina seems like an easygoing person, maybe she's more perceptive than she appears. If I just transferred here recently, I may not be able to help much. But I can at least listen. Sometimes talking can help. Although she just transferred, she already knows quite a bit about me and my sister, and also about the situation with the villagers. But talking won't solve anything. Actually, if I talk about it, I feel like I'm admitting my weakness. Which might give that person a chance to get inside of me once again. You were so surprised just then. That's why I thought something really serious was bothering you. Huh? Oh, that. Lately I feel like someone's following me all the time. Pit-pat, pit-pat. I thought that was you. Sorry. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Footsteps? Following you? I know them. I know those footsteps. He knows the footsteps. The footsteps of Oyashiro. Telling you to take action. Telling you your time has come. And that you'll soon be disappearing. He doesn't have a part-time job yet. Huh. Fourth year curse is not yet ready. We only have the footsteps. We have to wait for the curse to get over that one. He may or may not be aware of his own sins. He sits on the veranda. Maybe we could try formation of a club. Our last scene. Alright. We're forming Mio, or not Mio's, Mion's club. School is the world of children. The values of grown-ups need not apply. Children decide their own values and create their own world, so the rules of the grown-up world of the village mean nothing here. Even when villagers badmouth the Hojos and try to isolate them, it has no meaning at our school. In the children's world, children decide the rules. Rules they think are irrational don't exist here, and that's why, as the representative for the children here, I vow I shall never let irrational rules come into our world. Within the school, harassment is not allowed towards the Hojo siblings. In the beginning, some boys teased Satoko, but they were punished severely and it hasn't happened since. That's the least I can do to resist the madness of the village. I hope Satoshi and Satoko feel the school is a safe place for them. Satoshi must notice my concern because he often smiles when he's here. However, I never see Satoko smile. Our classmates used to try to cheer her up, but soon after they decided it was best to leave her alone. I used to try talking to her, but then I realized something. I stopped doing it. I'm a member of the Sonozakis. To Satoko, I'm one of her enemies, so I'm sure she feels uncomfortable to have me around her. All I can do is watch over her. That's why Satoko's alone in the classroom. And that said, Rika is always hanging around with her, even though Satoko told her she's annoying. Satoshi, too, is beside her. These two are the only ones who remain by her side. It isn't limited to Satoko, of course. The malicious isolation is still continuing toward the Hojo family. Because their hysterical aunt is so hostile towards her neighbors, there's nobody who sympathizes with her. It's wise to know there are fights worth picking and fights that are set aside. If the aunt had even a little tolerance or self-control, this isolation wouldn't have continued. If Oryu had even a little tolerance or an atom of self-control, this isolation wouldn't have continued. If Oryu sensed even a tiny, if Oryu's sense of responsibility was as large as a fucking quark, this wouldn't have happened. But she doesn't actually feel responsible for anything she does, no matter how many people die. Of course, the villagers were the ones who forced them into that role, even though they weren't related to the issue. But if she stayed quiet, it wouldn't have gone so far. Well, I disagree with you, because I think anything Oryu commands basically happens. The aunt's hostility is one thing, but she's dragging everyone in the family into it. The uncle and the aunt haven't been getting along, and he hardly comes home. Both Satoshi and Satoko are forced to live in shame. The aunt vents her stress by harassing Satoko. This was the same too. The aunt's her guardian, but Satoko doesn't even try to hide her disgust. The things are not going smoothly between them. If she behaved like Satoshi, she wouldn't have been made a target. Does that mean the sad life Satoko is living is something she caused herself? Well, not quite. No matter how much I sympathize and how much I want to help, nobody knows what to do. An apology won't change this. The flow can't be reversed. The fact that the Hojo family's ostracized can't be changed. And that's the horribleness lurking underneath our lives. The neighbors, the village, and the community. Once they become your enemies, the world can become cruel. This is why you never want to live in a shitty village like Inamezawa. The Japanese people have known that since ancient times, which is why we cultivated empathy and an obligation to show courtesy. No matter who I blame, Satoko won't smile, so the only thing I can do is watch over her and make sure she's safe when she's at school. Thank you, Mia. Sorry, what? I just wanted to say thank you for being concerned about Satoko. He kind of appears absent-minded, but sometimes he says things like he can read your thoughts. I tried to deny it since it's out of character for me, but he smiled as if he could tell exactly what I was thinking. Toko's just forgotten how to smile. When she's at school, she can let go of the tension for a little while. I'm sure she treasures that time. That's basically the only thing this old man can do for her. That's not quite true. I appreciate it. Oh, stop. You don't need to say that. Besides, my family's the one who's causing all the grief. I don't think that way. I really don't. I'm not good at reading people's subtle clues, but I know for sure what he just said is a lie. Satoshi knows he and his family are being isolated because of the Sonozakis, and he's aware I'm a member of the Sonozakis too. Satoshi is mature, and that's the only reason he doesn't take it out on me. If he had the same temper as his aunt, he would hate me bitterly. Knowing that, the least I can do is not get close to them. But I'm a meddlesome person, and when I see Satoko looking depressed or Satoshi forcing himself to smile, I have to do something. It might be even more troublesome to Satoshi and Satoko, though. Hey, I don't understand Satoko's feeling. What? My family causes her grief. So for me, a member of that family to hang around her, is that the right thing to do? Oh, sure, that's you being you. What do you mean by that? Are you saying I'm insensitive? I don't mean that. If the atmosphere itself is robbing Satoko of her smile, then only someone who can completely ignore it can bring her smile back. This old man can't tell if you're trying to compliment him or not. You're mean. Not ridiculing you. Really, I just want you to help. I can't make Satoko smile by myself. I need someone like you to help me. But Miya Sonozaki, you know, if I do something against it, I might end up hurting her more. Satoko's already lonely. Are you going to leave her alone too? This is the first time Satoshi asked me for something so aggressively. Satoko's an important person to him. He's saying he needs my help to make her smile again? But still, no. Maybe he's right. What's going on between the Sonozakis and the Hojos is an issue between grown-ups. We don't need to care about that. The irrational rules of grown-ups don't mean anything to our world, so I have to object to the irrationality of the grown-up world using methods of my own. Are you sure Satoko won't feel bothered by me? You might at first. I'll be with you. I'll be with you, Mion. So she'll open up right away. You think so? Should we do something after school today? If we go home first, our aunt might say something and we may not be able to leave. Alright, then it's simple. Don't go home first. But if we get home late, she'll ask us what we were doing. Let's see. I don't know. Why don't you join a club? A club? Yeah. Tell her you're going to an after-school club. Tell her you're going to be doing something after school before going home. There's plenty of other people who go out after school before they go home. That'll be no problem. If we mess up our clothes, our aunt will say, oh, then we'll do something indoors. Then your clothes will stay clean. Indoors? In the classroom? Wouldn't Chie-sensei say something? It's possible to play passionately while not going wild indoors. Contrary to my appearance, I love playing games. I've collected a few treasures from overseas, too. Some of the manuals are written in English and a little complicated. Well, some I need someone to play with, so a lot of them are just sitting in the storage room. I think Satoko can play those too. Sure. If you don't know the rules, you just make them up. As long as everyone's following the same rules, it's okay. I said it confidently, but would bringing games from home and asking Satoko to play actually make her smile? Oh, what have I got to lose? Maybe I'll bring one of the board games tomorrow. Oh, also, Mion, I have something else I want to ask. Oh, what? This old man's all ears. I'm looking for a part-time job. I thought if I could get her a nice birthday present, that might make her feel better. He's getting a part-time job. We're closing in on Watanagashi. Rest in peace, Satoshi. R.I.P. in peace, Satoshi-kun. I think that's all the Higurashi we're going to get through tonight. Good.